Marketing Your Private Practice is a podcast where you'll learn easy to implement tips and strategies to grow your business without spending all day online. I'm your host, Kathy Colaiacovo, and I teach practitioners the Thrive marketing method to create simple and streamlined plans by focusing on long-term strategies, not just social media. Discover ways to spend less time on your marketing, attract more clients, and build the financial freedom that comes with a thriving practice. One where you have time left in your day for the people and things that matter to you. Hey, private practice heroes, it's Kathy Colaiacovo with the Marketing Your Private Practice podcast. And today we're doing one of our marketing audits with Joni Snair. And Joni is a physiotherapist who offers mobile physiotherapy services here in the greater Halifax, Nova Scotia area. She goes all the way right out to St. Margaret's Bay area as well. So she's also located in Canada, just like me. Now, for you Americans that are listening in, a physiotherapist in Canada is what you often refer to as a physical therapist. And from what I can tell about Googling all of this, there might be a small difference, but in essence, the service is pretty much the same. The only thing that I find different, and Joni will probably correct me on this when we talk to her, is I think up here we'll often refer to them as physio. So that physio term I find for my American friends has always confused them whenever I've mentioned the word. So for those of you that are listening in, we are actually doing one of our marketing audits today. And if a marketing audit on the podcast is new to you and you haven't heard one before, let me explain a little about how they work. So it is part of what I offer with the podcast, and it is free for folks who apply to do a marketing audit. And it's very simple. All you have to do is apply to get an audit, and it's a way that you get access to me for some marketing strategy advice on your business, like we're going to do here with Joni today. I'm a marketing strategist. I've been in business for 15 years, and I've helped hundreds of service-based and private practice owners all over the world learn to grow and scale a profitable and thriving business. And that's what I'm always looking to do, is help people thrive. So let's jump into the audit today and welcome Joni Snair to the Marketing Your Private Practice podcast. Now, Joni, hello. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. I always say thanks for being brave to come in and talk to me about some of your marketing and your business issues very publicly when we do these audits. But it's always a good way, I always say too, to get some extra marketing for you as well. So you applied for one of our audits and wanted to talk about keywords in your marketing. But before we get into the audit part of this, I just want you to share a little bit about you and your practice and tell us a little bit more about the main services that you offer and some information about your ideal client as well.
Yeah, so I'm a physiotherapist. I'm trained from Dalhousie University in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I was able to do a clinical placement abroad in Finland, so it really opened me up to the outside-the-box part of physiotherapy. So when the pandemic hit, I started this business just to have flexibility as a mom of two young boys. And my mandate is to help people stay healthy and independent and living in their own homes. A lot of people don't want to end up in hospital or long-term care if they can help it. And there's lots of things that you can do, practical solutions as well as the more traditional physiotherapy that can be done at home. So I'm looking to help people that are getting older but still want to enjoy their lives. They want to be able to get down on the floor to play with their grandchildren. They want to be able to be independent and mobile in their home. And they want to rely less on their caregivers. But if that's needed, I definitely want to help the caregivers support their loved ones as they age through illnesses and injuries as they come up. I've also done an accessibility course through the Rick Hansen Foundation, which allows me to go through people's homes on that first day to make sure equipment is in place. Grab bars are there, bed rails, things that just improve the independence. It takes the burden off the caregiver, one less thing for them to do so they can enjoy their time with their loved ones.
Cool. So for your ideal client then, I want a little more insight into this before we jump into the audit part. Is your client, could it actually be two people in some cases? It could be the caregiver looking for help for their potentially parents, probably in most cases, or elderly family, or it would be the person themselves hiring you too.
Yeah, so some of my clients are looking for support for themselves. I recently got reached out by a woman who has knee pain, but she lives on her own and really needs to stay independent. She doesn't want to rely on people. She really wants to stay where she is. So that's one ideal client. The other ideal client seems to be daughter or son, usually the daughter or daughter-in-law, sandwiched in between aging parents and sometimes even having teenagers in their home. They're working full-time, they're super busy. So the idea of having their physiotherapist come to see mom or dad while they're working is great because it's a lot easier for me to come to their home than to take time off of work, get them to the appointment, come back, stop for an errand on the way home. So that could easily be a 3-hour chunk out of your day if you had to take time off, especially if it's a repeating thing once or twice a week. That can be a lot of time where I can just come to your home and all that
Right.
transportation is
Yeah, that's
eliminated.
awesome. So do these clients, I take it from what you're saying is it's more of an ongoing, like you would go for a regular visit, like on a certain time period, or are they more 1 or 2 off sessions?
I often will see people for a period of a few months. So if they're coming in after a hip replacement or a fall, they get back up to their baseline. Sometimes we will decrease or stop seeing after a few months. And then there's a whole other subset of people that I will see if they've had strokes, Parkinson's, those kind of things that they need that weekly maintenance and maintaining, prevention of falls and all the other things that come, chronic arthritis, that kind of thing.
All right, I'll explain why I'm asking that once we get into this a little more. Okay, perfect. So on your audit application, you noted that your problem is you're wondering what keywords to use to draw in older adults with decreased mobility, issues with falling, etc. And you also said that you're not sure what keywords to use there. And one thing you mentioned was that the trouble you're seeing now is that more people are finding you because they're searching a term online, physio near me, but they don't end up being your ideal client. So it sounds like a lot of people that might be reaching you are looking for more general physio, the physio where you would go to the office, the kind like I had for about a year after Pepper broke my elbow. So you're getting clients like that versus the caregivers and the elderly clients or the clients at risk of falling and stuff. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, and I think because I'm so specialized I worked in long-term care for many years, and it's a very complicated type of physio because people aren't coming in for one condition such as elbow pain. They're coming in for Parkinson's, low vision, have arthritis, balance issues, maybe some memory issues, and you put that all together. I think people are probably searching out for home care supports, people to do their cleaning, to do respite, that kind of thing, personal care. But a lot of people don't know that physio does what I do. So they don't know about the services, so they don't know what to search. So that you might occasionally get physiotherapy, home care, or home physio, but it's rare that people will search that out.
Okay. And is that because a lot of people don't know you exist, that service exists type of thing is part of it?
Yeah, I think it's more common in other places in the country and the world, but in our smaller area, there's only a handful of us doing it in Halifax, and yeah.
Okay. And oh, darn, you said something I wanted to check on there. So are these people that are looking for the type of service, are they actually reaching out to you? Then you're kind of saying, oh, we're not a fit. That's not what I do type of thing.
No, I think they click on my website and see the older adults' pictures and say, oh, that's not for me next. I get most of my clients right now are word of mouth. So I'd like to have more coming from Google and those kind of search engines.
All right. So the last thing I want to check before we dive in is I like to check how, I know we've had you introduce yourself, but if you had to do a quick 1, maybe 2 sentence intro of yourself, how do you say that to people? I know I'm totally putting you on the spot here. It's something I teach people a lot in the Thrive Marketing Academy because it's critical to being very succinct and clear with what you do, who you help, how you help them, and what happens with them. So I always just like to check if you have like a one-liner or a quick elevator pitch that you would say to people.
Nothing off the top of my head, but if I had to make one up on the spot, which I guess is what we're doing. Hi, I'm Joni, owner and founder of Safe at Home Physiotherapy. And our mandate is to keep you active and mobile so that you can enjoy the things that are important to you and spend time with your loved ones.
Okay, perfect. That's what I want to know. Because as I always tell people on here, you probably had some hair coming up on your neck as I was stalking you online a little bit in preparation for the audit here. But it's important I take a look at that. And I always want to match what you're saying, even when you have the on the spot thing, because that is going to happen to everybody all the time. You get in those situations and you get that question that a lot of us actually dread. So what do you do? Right. And it's a challenge sometimes to answer that question in a very clear way. So where your issue is some of the keywords, what that really means to me is you're trying to hone your message in on using keywords as the phrase you're looking at, but it's really having a good description that you can tell back to people of the people that you work with. And you're skipping that a little in what I see on your website, what I see on your social media profiles, and in fact, what you just said to me. What we were talking about was your one liner. And the thing that I wanted to bring up to you, because keywords are important for you, that's what this audit is all about. When you said your one liner to me, and I totally understand you were in the moment and we all don't think about it. I mean, my anxiety has always made me stress out when somebody asks me that question. What do you do? Right. But one thing I want to point out so that you think about it for future is you did not at all say kind of a description of your ideal client. You said the word you. So you know when you can't, are having mobility issues or things like that. So one of the things, especially because we're talking about keywords here, that I want you to think about is making sure that you're always ready with a description or an identifier of that ideal client. Okay. So I work with a lot of older clients or clients with mobility issues, and sometimes they may have had an accident or surgery and are looking for recovery options for physio at home so that they don't have to get out to appointments and that their caregivers don't have to give up time to get them to appointments. Or I often work with people who may have diseases like Parkinson's or other ones that are causing, or aging even, that cause the mobility issues. So I come in and do physiotherapy right in your home so that you get it done there and you can get it done consistently and help you get you back to, and you had a description of how you describe how they are in the future. And so then you would end with that. But that is important because we are talking keywords here. And it's something that I want to make sure, because when I did do some checking on you, you're missing keywords in a lot of things. You're doing what a lot of people will do in how they describe their business. You know it in your head and you're thinking about it, but you forget to actually say or write those important keywords. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So just to give everyone a little background on keywords, I know Joni's listened to my podcast for a bit and is on my newsletter and my email list. We've never actually worked together in a program or anything, but I know that you have listened to me, so you have an idea about this, but not everybody does. And really, keywords, when we use that term, it is a search engine optimization term. So it is an SEO term. But all it means, you don't have to panic because I said the word SEO. It really just means words people use to find you, words people use to describe you or your services, and also their problems. So when we talk about putting keywords into that one liner, just saying the words people with mobility issues, elderly folks who need some extra support to prevent them from falls, those are keywords. So these are some things that we want to make sure that you have included in your content that you put out there, in your marketing, in your profiles, all those different places. So now, Joni, I'm going to ask you one last question to put you on the spot one more time. Okay. What keywords would you say your top 3 keywords are right now that you have been focusing on? And maybe you haven't.
Physiotherapy, like home or home care, home
Okay.
thing, and I don't know.
Okay. So when we look at these words people use to find you, describe you, your services, and their problems, it's also words you use to describe your business and information. Your name is also a keyword, and your location, because you are a mobile physiotherapist, location is important for you. So those are keywords as well. So when we look at your website, and for those listening in, if you want to check Joni's website out, it is safeathomphysio.ca. And you can take a peek at that and look at what we're talking about as well. So I always look for these audits. I'm always big, and you know this, Joni, from listening in and getting my information, foundations are huge. So we always look to the website for this. And when we're looking at making sure we have keywords in there, we're really talking about messaging. So I want to make sure when someone comes to your website that they understand in less than 10 seconds. And I know that's been a rule for years, but I think it's even less than that now. They need to understand when they get to your website or when they look at your Facebook page profile or about information, or even your Google business profile online, that the words that you have there, those keywords that they can see standing out at them, speak to them, and that it gives the right message so that they know and understand you get who they are, you understand the problems that they have, and they know that you may have that solution they're looking for. So what this means is words for you. So keywords, Joni, for you. I know you say physiotherapy. That's a very broad term when you look at it alone. So you want to tighten that down. And this is how we talk about niching down on who you work with. You've got that covered. You're working with very specific people, okay? But when you talk about physiotherapy in general, you want to be a little more clear about that. So, for instance, on your website, if I go to your homepage, you have a picture of an older couple, like probably a grandchild there, or you have another picture of a middle-aged woman, and you have a picture of like, looks like a grandpa walking a little kid in the park, and then another middle-aged woman as well, and then an older couple. So you have like images sort of floating by, and over them, it has these words: safe at home physiotherapy. Remember house calls? We do that. Now, I love that, but when I scroll down after that, so we're on your homepage, sign up to be the first to know when new articles are posted. And then you've got a few of your blog articles people could click on. So I'm seeing ones that say like Parkinson's disease and mobile, how mobile in-home physiotherapy is cut off. Self-care is not just deep breath and bubble baths. 5 steps to prevent falls over the holidays. How to get up from a fall and prevent falling in. So this is like a feed of your blog, but not all of the words are there. So not everything necessarily makes sense. And then it finishes with connect with us, and you have your social media channels at the bottom. So the most important words on this website are, right now, number one, I feel you don't have enough on here, okay? But you've got safe at home physiotherapy. That certainly makes me think that it's going to be physiotherapy in my home, because you say, remember house calls, we do that. But it's not exactly clear who you do it for and what kind of problem that they have, okay? So when we're talking about your physiotherapy, I think it's important for you to expand and expand the phrase by narrowing it down, if that makes sense. And by doing that, by calling it at-home physiotherapy, mobile physiotherapist, okay? But also you want to make it clear who you help. And so that is not, you can't rely on those images floating by to give that message all the time. And I don't think your images do, because some of the middle-aged women I'm talking about, they look pretty active there. Now that's prejudging what they look like, okay? But you want to get the words on there. We help people with mobility issues and issues getting to physiotherapy do the work that they need and get the therapy that they need in their home, so that whatever that ending part is for you, that you help them with, because you're going to word it a little bit differently. And underneath that, I would highly recommend you have some description, like a paragraph even. It doesn't have to be a whole bunch of words, but you've got to be a little more clear about this, because you have physiotherapy there, but it's not really clear what these house calls are all about, right? People aren't necessarily going to put the physiotherapy, the safe at home with the house calls to understand this is for my elderly parents, or it's for me that's having mobility issues on my own as well. Or if I am that person that is older, that is having some issues, and I'm going to call in on my own, not my caregiver calling in type of thing. I don't see clearly that that's who you're working with. And I think that's what has to really change on there to make that stand out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so would you also list some of the conditions I treat, like stroke, Parkinson's, post?
Yeah. So you can do that. Like what you really want to work on, and this is why I sort of said that one liner, I asked you to give me that description. I would 100% work on building 1 or 2 sentence phrase that is succinct and clear, and people can understand what it is that you do and who you're helping with that, because you help very specific people. You're not just generic physiotherapy here. And that doesn't necessarily come across like you did the house calls thing, but you're just not telling me who it's for and how it helps them and what problems it solves, right? So some of that should go into that page. And the same thing on your services page as well. So the very first sentence on your services page says your first home care visit includes. Now, you do describe with the physiotherapist in your home, assisted living facility, things like that. But this could be why if you think people looking for generic home care, because you've got that phrase, which is a very SEO high valued section on that page on your website. It's the title. It's the very first phrase there, and it's in bigger words. It's very generic. Home care. This is not home care. This is mobile physiotherapy in your home.
Okay.
So home care, when you look at this, you actually say that and have highlighted enough, people might think that's what it is.
Yeah, and I think we talked about before that some of the people that are coming to my site are looking for that physiotherapy for shoulder, neck, back, that kind of physio. So they leave knowing that that's not what I'm offering. Maybe I'm also having some people looking for home care in terms of respite and personal
Yeah,
care.
I think you probably are.
So I can probably snag a lot of those people by offering maybe a sentence that says, like I wrote a blog about how mobile physiotherapy can save you money on home care because the more independent your person is. So like in addition to home care, or maybe that's something that I can also add in.
Yeah, because what I want to see, especially on the homepage, is the words that you're just saying to me. You're helping them save money. Forget that part though first. You say, oh, I'm trying to remember how you said it. You can stay in your home longer. You can stay safer on your own longer. Remind me how you describe that.
About independence and keeping people living at home independently and avoiding the hospitals and the long-term care facilities.
Right. So that's a big thing. I know for the actual adult, that's going to be a big thing, staying in their home longer and living more independently longer. I want to see that phrase on your homepage.
Okay.
Okay. And that's a key word for you. But it's also very clear, like what you have on your services page is like a bullet point list of safe home care visit with your physiotherapist, comprehensive physiotherapy assessment, medical medication review, blood pressure, oxygen check, pulse. That's what you do in your services. But what I want to see here too on your services page, who you help, you've got the how you help them, but what happens when they help you. You know, why somebody should choose mobile physiotherapy to help their aging parents, their elderly parents, or people with mobility issues. That's what you need to see here first. And then you can go into the things of what you're doing and all of that. That can go below. You're not going to catch people's attention with a bullet list of what you'll do. You're going to catch their attention by saying, I work with these kinds of people in a mobile setting in your home, and it helps you stay in your home longer. And as a bonus, it reduces financial care costs. It reduces time for the caregiver to take and shuffle you to appointments when they need to. So you're helping in so many ways, but none of that comes across here.
Okay. So even just talking about like the cost and time of transportation to
Yeah,
appointment and waiting rooms,
100%.
taking off of work to take mom to appointments.
Right. Like when my mom gets to the point where we're going to have to start taking her to more and more appointments type of thing. And she's 83, I think. 83. Yeah. This year. Not yet. Oh man, she's not that yet. But when we get to the point that changes people's lives, you get that sandwich generation that you were talking about. They have their kids, they have their parents that they're looking after, and they have a job or a work or a business, in my case, a business, right? It's hard to make all that balance. And you are sitting here telling me that your physiotherapy service can help me not have to worry about going out because you're going to go right into her and help her where she is and help keep her in that home longer. That is a huge benefit to those caregivers. That needs to be on your homepage. But what I would encourage you to do is really start, like make a list almost, Joni, of the top 5 problems that your clients have, your mixture of clients, and that includes the caregivers, the parents, and the different part, and what happens to them when you help them. Talk about those benefits that they get from this. And you've got to lead with some of that on here so that they think and understand, wow, this is a really big difference. Because some people might not, one, they're not going to realize that mobile physio is an option. And two, because they haven't really thought about it, they're probably not even thinking the point of, holy crow, you could save me 3 hours taking my mom or my dad to an appointment. That is awesome, right? And frankly, sometimes for the parent, it's easier for you to go to the home than them have to get out and go somewhere too, right?
And the other is with people coming into their home, like I'm going to see a personalized approach, especially in the older generation. They're not always forthcoming with their problems. So when you actually go in and you see that their meds aren't being dispensed properly, or there's lots of clutter, or whether they're getting dressed on their own or those kind of things, then I can also help provide recommendations on different services. So maybe you need somebody to come help with house cleaning. Maybe I need to connect you with an occupational therapist that can fit you in a wheelchair. Like there's a lot
Exactly.
of other options too.
Yeah. And those are big pluses for the families, for the caregivers, and for the people as well. Because someone taking the time, being rushed, taking them to physio, going to the appointment, put them in there, waiting in the waiting room. What you just described to me, you have so much insight into how that person is living. And then you can give the feedback to the caregiver to make sure that the person is getting the best care and that they're not having any neglect of any sort that nobody might even know about until somebody saw it, right? Like that's huge. And none of that comes across on your website.
And then I was going to say, like, the other caveat is some people are like older adults living alone and their children are like in different provinces, sometimes different countries, to have that peace of mind. Somebody's checking in on mom every Tuesday afternoon.
Right. And it sounds like, too, that you will have coordination and meetings with the caregivers type of thing or reports to them. And so that makes them feel a lot more comforted about the service that their parents are getting. So, what I would really like to see, homepage doesn't have enough info at all. Your services page just kind of covers the bullets of what you do versus if you work with us, we provide all these extra things for you. And, what does it look like? Well, it looks like this list of things here, but you will probably get them calling you before they even get to the list when they think about the other parts of it.
Yeah, because it's not uncommon for me to text a picture of grandma or email a picture
Right.
of grandma doing their exercises or laughing or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So for you, what I really see happening here is you're actually not using any keywords. You're using too broad of a description in that home care and just plain physiotherapy, right? You have to work with it as a in-home physiotherapy, mobile physiotherapy. We come to you and we give you the best service you could ever imagine because you don't have to leave. We're there. We see how you're living. We have lots more insight into that. And we can communicate that with your caregiving team and your whatever we need to do kind of thing. That is such a bigger service than just physiotherapy in an office. Sorry to any physiotherapists who work in an office out there, but it's a very unique thing that we have here. And the reason Joni's on this audit is because she wants to know how to differentiate herself to people. Keywords are going to be important, but part of that is your message and using those keywords in the message.
Yeah, and I think the clinic physios appreciate that because they actually reach out to me because they see this person that is just a little bit too complicated for the traditional
Right.
physiotherapy clinic where you may have 3 or 4 people on a go at the same time. They need more TLC and more one-on-one, so they'll actually reach out to me and send clients to me because they see that they'd be better fit in a home care environment.
Awesome. So what I would say to you at the end here, and I did take a peek just so that you know, I took a quick peek at your LinkedIn profile, your Facebook business page, because I Googled you, right? I Googled your name and Safe at Home Physiotherapy. And I also came across like you're on some directories too, okay? Like on Seed, CEED. You're listed on there as someone who took their program. And this is what it says. Safe at Home Physiotherapy provides physiotherapy services to you in your home. We're safe, convenient alternative, help you improve balance, strength, and control pain, bring everything to you, equipment recommendations included, and can help you be more independent and safe in your home.
That's not bad.
It's not bad, but it's missing who it's for. You are not clear about who it's for.
Because I was fresh out of the SEED program and was thinking
Yeah.
about all these.
But that line of being more, and this is what you said earlier, and I couldn't remember it, but seeing it here, being more independent and safe in your home. That is what you do. So when you think about that, and I think about your homepage, okay, Safe at Home Physiotherapy, the house calls, we do that. I get that. You could put that in there. But if you had at the top of that underneath your Safe at Home Physiotherapy, helping the elderly and people with mobility issues be more independent and safe in your home with mobile physiotherapy services, that type of thing. Like I might actually change the Safe at Home Physiotherapy, Joni, because that is already on your website. It's the domain, it's the logo. You might want to go mobile and in-home physiotherapy and then lead with the helping elderly and mobile. Like I know you have a better way to describe them. Be more independent and safe in your home. That would speak to things a lot better with some more keyword rich information there. Same thing, I found you on the Center for Women in Business directory. And your business description is, remember house calls? We do that. Providing safe and convenient physiotherapy in the comforts of your home, office, and online. So nothing there at all about that ideal client. Like, you really want to speak to that. And what I would recommend, a couple things here. Number one, review your website pages, your home, your services, your about. Make sure that you're including this stuff in there and add that keyword rich content in there and the messages that really speak to that ideal client and show them what life can be like. Like, lay that out in a couple scenarios, right? Don't depend on your blog articles to do that for you, because no one is going to come to your website first and look at a blog. They're going to explore around. You might send them to a blog with content on social media, but people that come to you or referred you or anything, they're going to come to the homepage, and that has to speak more than it does now. So that's your first action step. Your second one, well, actually, you're going to have to back that up, Joni. You're going to have to work on your messaging a little bit and start like writing out some one-liners and getting clear on how you're going to say things to people, on how you help them and the benefits people get and what life is like after working with you. You're going to have to get clear on that first. Then you want to look at how you can incorporate that into the homepage, really important, but also the services page as well. Okay. Then I want you to review your social media profiles and some of those directories. Like, literally, everybody listening, Google your name and your business name and see what comes up there. And then look at it. Oftentimes, you're going to find places there that you could go in and update, and you make sure you have information updated because you can control it. Like, you can update the Center for Women in Business directory. There are also sites out there, though, that feed things in from what they find online, and you can't necessarily control that. But often that comes from your main website. So if you can update it there, it'll get updated in some of those ones that are just feeds of whatever these registries find online. Number two action step for you, I guess it's number three. One is the message. Two is the website pages. Three is, I want you to go review your social media profiles, because those profiles and directories, you want to update whatever you can there. Your Facebook page, as the about section, there's a section in there you can actually put some descriptions in, and all you have is a disclaimer about a Facebook post for information purposes only. Get medical professional advice. Doesn't say anything about your services other than the word, this isn't medical advice about physio. So you can put a better description. Then there's a services option there, and you actually send them to your website under services to find information. What you're doing when you do that is you're missing out. Facebook pages are optimized by the search engines. They are indexed by them. Information can come up from it. Give it to them right there. Okay. I've talked before about having like a short, long, and medium bio at the ready so that you can copy and paste and use it all over. Make a document like that. Make these short, medium, and long bios, and then copy one of them right in here on the Facebook page, on your LinkedIn as well. Like, you want to make sure that you're just a lot clearer about what you have. On LinkedIn, there's an about area as well. Go in there and update that and make it more clear. Because when I look at it, you've got some things like in the comforts of their own home, don't have to go to appointments, worry about parking, waiting room, all of that. You say you have worked as a physiotherapist with adults, children, and elderly in private clinics, but you don't say who you're working with now. So take the past out of the top of your about area and lead with what you're doing now and who you're doing it for. Okay. And I think you'll see a big change from this, because people will have a lot more clarity on who it is that you work with. Right now, you could be as generic as any physiotherapist out there, except that it seems like you come to the house, but what for, right? What's the benefit of that? There's huge benefits in it, but it doesn't come across in what you've got going on.
Okay.
All right. Any final questions? Oh, I did have a bonus tip for you.
Okay.
I always have a bonus tip, your contact page on your website. So I do want you to listen to episode 9 of the podcast.
I just did yesterday.
Yay!
I was like, I can do this and this and this and this and this. And I'm going to have to because I drive, I do listen to a lot of podcasting in between clients. So I think I've listened to most of your stuff on the go. So I need to re-listen to it and write down all the things, because my contact is definitely not optimized.
It is definitely not. And the episode for everybody listening is called Optimize This One Website Page and Boost Client Signups for Your Practice. So it has details on 10 things that you can do to update your contact page. Because Joni, like most people, you actually don't even have your name on the contact page, and your name is a keyword, right? In that high valued area, you have, we want to hear from you. And then you have home care visits available in Halifax, Bedford, and surrounding area. Again, too generic. You need to be clear and add these keywords in. That's why people don't get the right message right now. And episode 9 has a link in it where you can all download a PDF of a resource sheet on the 10 things to optimize on your contact page. So definitely you want to follow through with that PDF, Joni, and fix those as well.
Perfect.
Okay. So any final questions before we finish off here?
I don't think so. I have a lot of work to do. It's been very helpful. And I think that's probably why I've been struggling trying to build this business in a pandemic, going through like organic growth, as opposed to if I would have optimized this 2 years ago, maybe it would have been different, but going forward and improving that for sure.
Awesome. And kudos to you for starting a business in a pandemic, because anyone who started in 2020, I always say you are brave souls, because not everybody is inclined to take that leap when the world is shutting down. So really kudos to you for doing that. And here it is 3 years later and you're still there. And you mentioned, you're getting full as well. So that's awesome. Really be proud of that, because I think that's a real challenge that you've overcome is 3 years later, you're still out there and you're starting to get to that place where you're getting more bookings and getting there. So these updates and fixes should help you for sure.
Okay.
All right. So a reminder to everybody who is listening, these audits are open for you to get one too, and it's easy to access them. Just go to my website, pepperitmarketing.com/audit, and apply for your audit. We do 5 different types there. And once you're chosen, we'll send you a link to book your session. And then we come into the online studio. We had a little tech issues here today, but typically we don't. And we record, we talk through your problems, we look at some solutions, I give you some action steps. And then usually about 6 to 8 weeks later, your audit will be live online. And that is a little bit of marketing for you as well, because I do some marketing and you get an email that goes out on my list and we talk about it on social media, send people to the audit. So it's also free marketing for you all. So I'll put a link to how you can apply for your own audit in the show notes. And also I'll put a link to the episode 9 we were talking about on the contact page as well. So Joni, before we sign off, how about if you share your contact info with our listeners in case they have family members or friends who can use your services, or even themselves? Just share where they can reach out to you.
Yeah, you can reach me on my website at safeathomephysio.ca, or my email is joni@safeathomephysio.ca, or you can text or call 902-809-1793.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you again. And thanks to everybody for tuning into the Marketing Your Private Practice podcast with Kathy C. My goal is always to help you learn strategies to thrive from A to Z. Be sure to hit follow so you don't miss out on any new episodes, and have a fabulous day. And remember, apply for your own audit. It takes about 30 minutes normally and gives you some free marketing strategy for your practice and ideas and advice to grow and thrive too. And I'll see you next time. You can find all of our show notes and resources mentioned at marketingyourprivatepractice.com. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at pepperitmarketing and say hi. I'd love to hear any feedback you have, and make sure to rate and review the podcast and hit subscribe on your favorite player so you don't miss any future episodes.